Hi all, this is Rachel with Waldron Designs, and I am here to talk to you today about permitting your project. It's the big P word, and everyone kind of panics about permitting, and sometimes rightfully so. It can be a little bit scary, I'm not going to lie to you. In the past, first off, let me back up and talk a little bit about what we do with permitting and how we approach that. So in the past, we have not really even approached the permitting process. Most of our projects were interior spaces only that did not have any structural changes necessary, and permits were, quick over-the-counter permits where it was something that the contractor could bring in to the permitting office, hand it over, and then, an hour later or less, they get the stamps and they're good to go. So for the most part, we have been out of the loop, and as it pertains to permitting. We have been taking on bigger and bigger projects and different projects, and lately, some of the projects that we've done in the past few years, past year or two really, is we've added home additions and full gut renovations and more projects that really do involve the structural aspects of design. So for those projects, we have just started introducing permitting services, and we work with a permitting specialist to make sure that everything we're doing is accurate and that we're getting it through the process with our while learning and taking our baby steps and providing you with that one single point of contact, me, as well as being able to provide the permit that you need for your project. So what we've learned in this process, the first thing that we did when we were looking to do permitting is I made an appointment with our local permitting office here in Vashon and sat down with them and said, hey, so should I have been doing this all along? And they said, well, most of your projects have been mostly interior, so no, it didn't make sense. The way I had been doing it in the past made perfect sense. It just, hand it off, contractor goes over, pulls it over the counter, no problem, bam, boom, it's done. But now that we're doing these structural projects, it is important that we get involved and understand and communicate if there are any changes that are needed during the permitting process. It's nice to have the designer be a part of that. So we are becoming more involved. We are working with that permitting specialist, like I said. And what we were told when we sat down with the permitting office was, you need a permit if anything structural is changing. If you're taking any load-bearing walls down, if you're penetrating a load-bearing wall, that's kind of that's the key, really. It all comes down to structural. Plumbing and electrical permits will be pulled by your plumbing specialist and your plumber and your electrician. That's something that they handle with every type of job, even those quick over-the-counter jobs, and you probably won't even ever notice it happening. If they are licensed and bonded, they will be pulling those permits, and you can absolutely verify that with them and say, okay, are you going to be pulling permits for this project to make sure that we're all good? I would be really astonished to hear that anyone would say they didn't pull the permits for that. But other than that, as far as when you need to pull a permit or when you need to apply for a permit, it comes down to structural. Additionally, building outbuildings oftentimes will need a permit, especially if it is something that is over 200 square feet or if it is a unit that you are planning to dwell in. There is a rumor going around, and I've heard certain brokers giving certain clients of theirs information about how anything under 200 square feet does not need to be permitted, even if you're living in it. Not true. If it is under 200 square feet or over 200 square feet, if someone is planning to dwell in it, if you're putting a kitchen, a bathroom, something like that in the space for living purposes, you absolutely need to have it permitted. This is for safety reasons. So I hope that answers your questions about when your projects do and do not need to be permitted. Thanks.